or vocational education and ability enhancement has become a core of the curriculum. So one part of the national education policy is on the skill enhancement. We are going to talk about that separately. Second initiative, which is very important, is that to enhance the employability, to so that the graduate should be able to apply the skills in their respective domain. If the student is working in the domain of psychology or economics or sociology, or in the matter of the commerce and business management or sciences, they must be able to solve the problems by using the current skills. And third major initiative is on the development of entrepreneurship. And as you know that the NEP 2020 focus is on the holistic development. So, dear professors, today in this session, I am going to talk to you on the skills in higher education NEP 2020 aspect. In today's rapidly evolving job market, the role of higher education is shifting, and equipping students with the practical skills beyond the classroom has become increasingly crucial for their future success and employability. So we all know that, we all talk about that, and I understand many of you are working on this particular subject of developing the skills through the curriculum, through the internship, or through the experiential learning. And even we have changed our pedagogy so that the skills are developed among the students. So, this particular session is going to focus on the skills in higher education, NEP 2020. I am Dr. Ajit Thete, former Joint Director Technical Education, Government of Maharashtra, and presently I am Director for Center for Development of Leadership in Education. This is my email ID. You can note down email ID so that you can communicate with me if you have certain questions to ask me in future too. So, dear professors, this particular session has been designed keeping in view that my faculty is from teaching faculties from different faculty domain, that is education and humanities, commerce and business management, and science and technology. Okay, I know that many of the faculty might be there from the field of education, B.Ed and M.Ed program. So we know that all these programs required skills, and in that context we have designed. When we talk of this aspect of National Education Policy 2020, here we have to understand the context. What is the context of the today's session, and what is the context of skill education in higher education? If you refer to NEP document 16.5 point, it says that by 2025, at least 50% of learners through the school and higher education system shall have exposure to the vocational education, for which a clear action plan with targets and timelines will be developed. This is in alignment with the Sustainable Development Goal 4.4 and will help to realize the full potential of India's demographic dividend. Our India's demographic dividend is very important. As you know, many of you, those who have joined to this particular program, you may be. Some are from the tribal area, some are serving in the rural area, some in the urban area, and some of them are in metro cities. And even when we talk about the demographic dividend in the southern part, in the eastern part, in the northern part, in the western part, we know that the type of the exposure the student required to have to the vocational education is prime, because sustainable development goal 4.4 says that the economical development of the society is only possible when the every individual become self-reliant. And to have a self-reliancy, we require skills enhancement. And that is why you will find major aspect of our NEP 2020 and our curriculum structure focuses on the skill education. So this is the context of today's session which I am going to develop. Now, many of you must have been discussing or referring, but here I want to share the references to the context. One is, of course, NEP 2020 document by Ministry of Education, Government of India. Second is India Labour Report 2024. If you refer to the India Labour Report 2024, it will say that the need for vocational education in the relevant domain, because suppose I am working in the banking industry or for finance, or if I am working in the respect of taxation, or I am working in tourism, or I am working in teaching, or I am working in sciences, this says that our employability is very less, and to enhance that, a skill education is very important, and that is there. Third is there is one document by Rajkumar Singh, October 2023, Higher Education Necessity and Benefits of Skill Development. It is by OPED. So by Rajkumar Singh, October 2023, which talks about then the skill development needed for position in higher education. This is one of the report by Defin Hepin, which talks about the why skill development is needed for positions in the higher education. Then by J.D. Blue in 2021, developing employability skills in higher education and at work. So you will find there are so many aspects like UNESCO document of 2020, which talks about the future of higher education skills for the world of tomorrow. And of course, as I mentioned to you, UNESCO SDG 4. All these documents reference has been taken when we were designing the National Education Policy 2020, which I have cited in reference number 1. And that emphasize the skilling among the student which is required. And hence, I have set certain agenda for our today's lecture, for our session. Number 1, the context of skill and vocational development, NEP 2020. Why this NE? What is the context of skill and vocational development? Of course, though I have given you some areas, but that is there. Second, the skill requirements in university education. When I'm saying university education, higher education across all discipline. Okay. So we are going to talk on this. Then the skill to be taught in liberal arts, or we can say education and humanities. The skill to be taught in business management and commerce. The skills to be taught in science education. The skills for interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary education. We know under the NEP 2020, our emphasis is on multidisciplinary education and interdisciplinary education. So in that context, what is that skilling part which is going to play very important role into that? Then obviously we talk about the digital skills in today's workforce. You go in any world of work, you will find, even you go for a online marketing, or you go for a retail marketing, or you go even for a simple business, you know that how the digital areas have been developed in our country, and we are the topmost country, the first country having this digi developing such a greater extent. The life skills for career and life, very importantly, we talk about this. That is the NEP skill, NEP 2020. It talks about core skills, domain skills, and life skills for career and life. And obviously, when we talk about this, these days, our focus, as I told you in the very beginning, our focus is on development of entrepreneurship. And in that context, the design thinking skill across the domain of higher education, university education. And obviously, in today's world, we know currently we talk about artificial intelligence. So the skills in AI across the discipline. So today's agenda is being planned in the sequence from 1 to 2, 1 to 10, keeping in view different disciplines, broader disciplines, and what are the skills required to be taught. Of course, many of them you must be already delivering. But apart from that, what is that you are delivering? What is that you want to impart? And apart from that, in the interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary life skill, all that point we are going to talk in today's session. Let us begin one by one in all these assessing this agenda. Now, as I said, the very important context is bridging the gap between education and employability. My dear professors, we all have to keep in mind when I'm using the word employability, employability doesn't only mean wage employment or salaried job. I also mean self-employment. And when we talk about this, obviously, we know that it is required to develop relevant skills. Employer seeks graduate with diverse set of skills, including critical thinking, problem solving, teamwork, and our higher education must agree to that. I highly appreciate you are doing a very noble job. You're teaching in higher education, you're giving them employment, you're showing them the total their path for their future development, their career and life development. But then, when we are doing so, whenever guidelines are available, or whenever we have these all types of the curriculum framework is there, we have to see that whether relevant skills are being imparted or not. Practical application, the integrating the hands-on learning opportunities such as internships and project-based assignment can help students apply their knowledge in real world. So in curriculum and even in NEP framework, the focus is given on internship. The focus is given on experiential learning. The focus is given on the changing the pedagogy so that they are able to apply the knowledge. So we need to change the pedagogy. We need to involve more and more work-based teaching, project-based teaching. It may be commerce, it may be psychology, it may be science for that matter. And even our pedagogy need to be changed. We can go for a project base. And this is how you will find recently when University Grant Commission has initiated apprenticeship enabled higher education, graduation. So one can learn while working in industry or business. That is how we are going through, because the practical applications are very important. The student working, suppose the student of commerce in future is going to work in finance industry. If the education, while is undergoing BCom, MCom, why not to place him in some bank or insurance or any finance industry, and simultaneously teach them the courses so that he get a practical application? Because we observe that the lot of unemployment is because of the lack of skills, which we are today going to talk about that. And third aspect is adaptability. Today morning only, I was giving one interview to one of the media that there are a lot of employment, how to enhance the employment as such. Therein, we have to see that we need to develop adaptable skills so that student can get themselves adjusted with the changing job market, because there's a rapid change into that, and empowering them to pivot and evolve with the times. So we need to change that. We know the time when you graduated or the time when I graduated, situation was different. But now there is a significant change, not only in the technology, but the work systems, culture, technology intervention, and lot of technology like AI which is being used. So if we need to develop, why we are not getting the employment? Why students are not getting? Because they don't get adapt to the situation. So my dear professors, we need to focus on to that. Of course, you may ask me a question that if it is, sometimes what happens, uh, uh, it is not very clearly mentioned in our course curriculum. But obviously, if you are following the outcome-based education, in the outcome-based education, the program outcomes are mentioned where we talk about all these things. And even we as the teachers, we need to take the initiative, arrange the programs so that students get accomplished with this requirement of the part of the programs. So bridging the gap between education and employability in these three measures is important, which is irrespective. This is the context which we are going to talk about that. Very importantly, again, I'm going to detail, so I'll quickly read the topics which we enhancing critical thinking and problem solving abilities. A lot of analytical thinking is required. If at all my student working in a sales, or he's an entrepreneur, or he's working as a data scientist, here we require to develop a rigorous work so that they can analyze the complex problem. They can think critically and come out with a creative solution. And obviously, there we also require to emphasize on lifelong learning. So these are skills which are in a general, and that is how we need to focus into that. We also require the collaborations and communication skills. This I'm talking to you. This I'm talking to you in the broader interest of the community, which we discuss about the team skills. We talk about the effective communication, intercultural awareness. Okay, it's very important because in our entire life, in our career, we are going to migrate from one place to the another place. And in doing so, we must have to have a intercultural awareness and having a very strong networking, uh, collaborative work as such. So these skills are going to focus. Then preparing student for the evolving job market. Flexibility, Today, if you see the example of, say, Bajaj has a finance. Bajaj Finance has got insurance. They have got so many business. So I have to adapt myself to the flexibility of my company. There's a vertical growth of companies. And they many times the existing employees are being appointed on the new verticals, their own verticals. So that flexibility of working is important. And as I mentioned to you, lifelong learning and entrepreneurship is a very important that mindset we need to develop. And of course, technology fluency. And in these days, beyond digital, we have to think about the artificial intelligence. So this is what I am talking about the skills in a general. Till my previous slide, I was talking about how we have to, in a broader sense, we should have a approach, we should have a strategies and tools and mechanism so that we develop the student. As I told you, and as I experienced, you all teachers do a lot of efforts for student development. But then if you find out these points which are going to contribute for their future career and life, we need to have some hidden curriculum at your institute or university department so that we can enhance the employability of the student. Now, I'm going to talk about the skills which are required in the different discipline in liberal arts education, I mean humanities, commerce and business management, science and technology. I'm also going to talk about design thinking. My request, I know that all the faculty may not be from one discipline, they are from multidiscipline, I understand. Please view these slides, this discussion carefully so that you can pass on this information to your colleagues in your institution. And you as also a teaching faculty, you will get to know and understand the scope and the focus and the opportunities for skills across the discipline. Now, when we talk about the skills and education, especially when we are talking skills in liberal arts education, will one by one we will go. One by one we will go. Now, as I said to you, there might be some repetition when I'm moving from first slide to the last slide, but there has some relevance. In a liberal art, as it is for every graduate, every discipline, analytical mindset are very important. My student may be of education, sociology, economics, history. So when we talk about these humanities and liberal art, the ability to analyze complex issues and find the evidences and draw the conclusion becomes very important. And hence, because you know that you might be, experiencing the graduates of the liberal art or humanities for that matter, they are the backbone of the industry. There are two people who are the backbone of the entire business and industry and public sector is the graduates of humanities and liberal arts, commerce and business management. Of course, science to some extent, but science they more contribute into their more domain area. But you will find more commonly these graduates, and that's why they require creative problem solving. I am a man of economics, and if I'm working in the agriculture sector, to find out the good solution, I must have to learn to approach up challenges with open mind. What could be the diverse solutions to this problem? And obviously, when we talk about this, as I said to you, there must be there has to be an adaptability, especially liberal arts students. As I told you, they work in different sectors, different public, private, business, industry sector. So they need to get adapt into that particular section. And that's why our attempt must be there to develop these particular skills. Across all discipline, very important, which you will also know very well, effective communication and interpersonal skill. We have in the ability enhancement program, ability enhancement course under the university, we are offering these courses. I think almost all universities are doing so. But then within that, we need to understand that written expression. So to have a persuasive and engaging written communication is very important. Either you are writing a report or you are writing, for that matter, some note, or for that matter, you are going to make some sort of the preparing a presentation. So written expressions are very important. Written expressions, it may be for that matter, minutes of meetings, or having a habit of taking down the notes. Okay. So written expression need to be improved. I think, please excuse me, sometime I am making some statement. Some of you may not be agree, but just I am sharing with you out of my experience. Many students are not good in communication. It may be Marathi language, Hindi language, or any regional language for that matter, and English too. So we need to emphasize, of course, this I'm not talking about the student of literature, because they have focused on the literature studies. So as a part of literature studies, they develop these aspects, communication skills and into that. Oral presentation. We know that student when going in the world of work, they have to have a public speaking skills, fostering confidence in articulating ideas and to diverse audience we require. Take any example. Though nowadays you don't go to bank, you might be traveling, you go to railway station, we go to central bus station, there we talk to their staff, how their communication skills are there. Many times you offer that there are lack of public speaking skills. Many times, because of the language or cultural difference, the people also have lack in confidence. So that is where we have to focus. Because see, these effective communication skills very importantly work and they are required. Collaborations. When we work actually, as we talk about interdisciplinary projects and discussion, cultivate teamwork, empathy, and ability to work effectively with others. So these interpersonal skills, many times you might have observed that there is a stress, and that stress is developed because of lack of communication, because of lack of teamwork, empathy. As a result of that, the conflicts are developed, isn't it? So why not to prepare our student by teaching that program? So we need to design our course curriculum, or whenever you plan their teaching, you have to ensure that this thing, of course, This can be done while developing or teaching ability enhancement course, or even whenever you are teaching your domain specific course, that time also you can do into that. Creativity and innovation. See, in case of the liberal art humanities student, these students, as I told you, they work in the different discipline. So we need to think of out of box. Take an example of revenue department. Now, when you go to the revenue department, say for example, in the revenue department, you go to the land acquisition department. Now, the land acquisition department, where either a arts graduate or commerce graduate is sitting, but if he lack in the divergent thinking skill, he may not be able to read the land document, land records, land act, and as a result of that, he or she may not be able to communicate with the customer or with the public. So, a divergent thinking, see, is very important. It's very important. Many times, many students might be coming to you, not only student, the people might be approaching you from your surrounding area, asking so many questions to you yourself also. So, we develop a divergent thinking. Then, multidisciplinary insight. So, exploring diverse subject, students develop the ability to make unexpected connection and spark innovation. I always give the example of, in the liberal art, a student of sociology. When after graduation, he works on some NGOs, say he is working on, say, health project or agriculture project. If you don't have a knowledge of commerce and banking, for that matter, or knowledge of economics, he may not be able to solve the problems. And that's why in NEP 2020 and the university guidelines, UGC guideline, we have to give the more and more emphasis on the multidisciplinary education where student can develop insight into that. A student of commerce must know computer, they must know customer psychology, they must know entrepreneurship development. By student of science, those who are learning and developing some project, they must know sociology, they must know the psychology, they must understand the economics of that problem solving. So this is we need to develop while delivering the curriculum, the multidisciplinary insight, and that's why we require creativity and innovation. And as I said to you, in every domain, we have a scope for entrepreneurship. And as we know, in today's world, we are rather competing with the entire world. A country like United States of America. And that wherein now we are in high urgent need of developing the entrepreneurship. It's not that the efforts are not made in the past, but looking to the today's scenario, how we can develop, foster liberal art education students to identify opportunities to turn into the realities. My students of psychology, history, sociology, they can also work. So we need to work on to that and develop those skills among the student as such. Next set of skills is ethical reasoning and decision making. Okay. So whenever I'm presenting every slide, I'm thinking of a graduate passing from the institution. He must be equipped with these skills. And as I said you, we need to change the pedagogy. We need to give more of experiential learning. And that's why this even ethical reasoning and decision making, a moral framework, social responsibility, and philosophical inquiry. So students should develop and have a think critically about their values and beliefs, isn't it? Unless and until we talk of empathy, we talk about respect, honor. Okay. This is very important. This is important in any type of the job. It is very required. Very required. So a moral framework which we need to develop. Though we have a course on value education, nowadays we talk about Indian knowledge system, even we talk about value education, and all this through, we try to impart student of the moral framework. But here, again, I will say that, yes, this is necessary, and even we need to change the pedagogy. The teaching approach need to be changed. And the student should learn to consider the broader societal impact of their decisions and action, cultivating a sense of civic duty. We, as a teacher, as a head of department, or as a principal, or a dean, or head of department, we should from day one, when a student enter into the institute, we need to focus in a very structured way so that ultimately, whatever career we are gaining, whatever undergraduate education we are taking, it is going to be there for the society. And these ethical reasoning and decision making plays a very vital role into that. And through the course curriculum, which are dedicated for the value education, Indian knowledge system, you can emphasize on that. And along with that, you can also focus when you are teaching the course. Adaptability and lifelong learning. The curiosity, flexibility, and resourcefulness. The liberal art education fosters a natural curiosity and love for learning, empowering students to continuously expand their knowledge. Curiosity is very important. And that's why we say the days has gone when we were used to teach the courses or subjects. Now our focus is on outcome. Our focus is on pedagogy. Our focus is on assessment to ensure learning happens. So these case set of a curiosity is very important. And also the flexibility, which already we discussed. So that's why we have to give the minors and majors which are giving in our curriculum is especially to prepare students to adapt changing job market and evolving the societal needs. So these aspects, see, basically what I observed, because I discussed on different forums about the NEP 2020, I observed and I have seen that the faculty members of the institution need to really understand the context of this NEP, context of the curriculum framework, context of the different types of the courses that we are offering. And that is how we have to prepare our student from day one he joins the college. And we have to very effectively navigate all this information, resources, so that they can apply in critical thinking and new challenges. Okay. So these aspects are very importantly to be done. And as a student of liberal art, he should have an interdisciplinary perspective. Okay. Because already I have discussed to you because there is a cross pollination. They work in a different knowledge, diverse field. You maybe take a lot of arts within arts and humanities, liberal arts students, history students, political science students, economics, they work. And that's why fostering a holistic understanding of complex topic, this skill is very important. They need to understand the contextual awareness. So this critical thinking, and this is very important, and that is how the student should be, intellectual versatility has to be designed into that. So when we deliver a course, this intellectual versatility, that is ability to synthesize the information from the various sources, which equips students to excel in wide range of the careers and industries. So that's why our student, if they don't have the exposure to that, that intellectual development will not happen. And we want to bring into that versatility. These skills are very essentially required into our student. And in this context, of course, this is just a repetition, so I just skip. So when we talk on these aspects, which I mentioned to you, looking to the global perspective, the adaptability, collaboration, and lifelong learning, though I discussed prior, but once again I say that our what should be the teaching strategies? Very important. Skills can be developed through the courses which are dedicated as a or nomenclature as a skill enhancement course or vocational education. But apart from that, or rather I can say, in addition to that, in every course, we can develop this critical thinking, interdisciplinary approach, and communication skill. And what should be the teaching strategies? Engage students in open-ended discussion, in case studies, in problem-based learning to develop their ability to analyze, evaluate, and make informed decisions. So this critical thinking can be developed with group discussion, case studies, problem-based learning. The interdisciplinary approach can be well approached when students are asked to make the connection across different fields and apply knowledge in novel contexts. Send the student of sociology in industry to study what are the welfare measures taken by the industry for their employee. Send our student of psychology in the HR department, in the business and industry. So this sort of the interdisciplinary approach will develop there. And obviously, for communication skills, students must present their ideas, engage in debates, and hone their written and verbal communication ability. And for that purpose, we need to foster the opportunities. Taking presentations, competitions, essay competitions, group work, all this will happen to them. So here, I'm not only talking about what skills are to be developed, but I'm so focusing upon what type of the respectfully the strategies has to be one into that. We can develop active listening, empathetic approach. So all these are possible when we go into the student. So you can have do now. Suppose I have to give imaginative. Encourage student to engage in creative activity, storytelling, design thinking, problem solving. Suppose you want to embrace divergent thinking, encourage students to explore unconventional ideas, challenge assumptions, and this sort of multiple activity. So we have to go for this aspect into that. Active listening. Encourage students to fully engage with speakers. Ask clarifying questions. Students, they don't ask questions. So ask them, give them, suppose to begin with that attitude of asking the question, give them a cheat, what question they should ask. Then concise expression, very short, they want brief. So guide them how to organize the idea, how to use precise language. All these aspects, my dear professor, we need to do into that. Now coming to the next domain. So my dear professors, as I discussed in the beginning, there are certain skills which are required irrespective of the higher education. There are certain skills which are common in all, but their context is different. And that context they need to understand. And for that, we need to visualize what is going to be the world of work for the student. Even should ask student to envision. Okay. Now, coming to the skill development in business education, the fundamental skills, the fundamental business skills, effective communication, problem solving expertise, and critical thinking process. Okay. See, as I told you, we have to, when we talk on the business, the presentation skill to convey ideas clearly and persuasively. You have to pursue that matter. And that's why written, verbal, these communications are very important. In the business, I want to increase sales. I have to expand the market. I have to study the profit. For all this, developing analytical abilities to identify challenges, evaluate options, and implement innovative solutions. The other day, I was discussing that how this chain of business, nowadays we have a chain of retailers are there. DMart. DMart opens one store. Unless he is in profit, he does not go to the second. Some stores stops functioning. So all these require problem solving expertise. Critical thinking, cultivating the capacity to analyze information, think strategically, and make well-informed decisions. So these are the fundamental skills which we need to develop among the students of business management and commerce. Though it is been mentioned in the course program outcomes and course outcome, but at a different course level and program level, you should make an attempt to deliver into that. Specialized technical skills which are required for our students of commerce and business management is accounting, finance, and data analytics. Accounting expertise, mastering the fundamentals of financial reporting, budgeting, and cost management to ensure organizational financial health. These are the specialized technical skills. So he must have a very good knowledge, expertise of financial reports, credit, debit, which entries, what taxation, budgeting, how the costing, managing the costing part of that. Then He should have a financial acumen. So, developing proficiency in financial analysis, investment strategies, capital budgeting to derive informed business solution. So, financial core knowledge acumen must be there. And we don't know where our graduate will go. Tomorrow he may join stock exchange. He may start his own financial consultant. So this financial acumen is very important, either to have an expert in the account. And for that, data analytics is very important. So leveraging the data-driven insight through statistical modeling, predictive forecasting, and business intelligence tools to uncover market trends and optimize the operation. It may be retail management, or it may be supply chain management. It may be a logistic, and anywhere we require data analytics, and data analysis. And these specialized skills we need to develop. I'm not saying that these are not the part of your curriculum, but a special emphasis need to be given when we are focusing and teaching the student into that. Apart from that, he or she must have a interpersonal skills, teamwork, because a business, you have to work with your counterparts, your retailers, your employees, your different part of the networks. They require you leadership, and also you require negotiation skills. So the interpersonal skills in the subdomain of teamwork, leadership, and negotiation is very important. In the business, what works is a effective teamwork, because you have to grow the business, you have to grow the sales, you have to market your product, you have to gain the profit. So cultivating the ability to collaborate productively with diverse groups, leverage individual strengths, and foster a cooperative work environment. This is very important that we need to develop. We know students coming to our institutions are different. It may be due to their exposure, social background, economical background, or the exposure they had been to be there in their past life. But then, we, having known the future, having known the work style, work culture, we have to develop these skills into that. Visionary leadership. Any business require a leader. So developing the skills to inspire and motivate teams, make strategic decision, and guide organization towards achieving their goals. The word which I have used here, visionary leadership, and a strategic way. Many times we lack into the inspiring and motivating. Okay, making strategic decision, not a decision because I find so, I feel so. No, not I feel so. What is really required for that? There we require a leadership, and that strategic decision making is very important into the organization. Negotiation skills, mastering the art of negotiation to reach mutually beneficial agreements, navigate complex stakeholder interests, and create value driven outcomes is very important. I have seen, since I work pan India, I have seen different organizations. We work very close to business and industry, and we see, and all the time we discuss that students lack into this teamwork and this sort of a leadership, taking initiative, taking other to motivate them, and of course having a urge to growth where we have to negotiate. That negotiation we need to work into the development of the student. Obviously, When we talk about commerce and business management, the entrepreneurial skills are very important because we look to the student graduate of computer and business management as an entrepreneur because they know the whole knowledge of business enterprise. They know costing, they know accounting, they know enterprise resourcing, they know taxation, they know everything. And that's why we need to develop the entrepreneurial skills, innovations, risk taking, and opportunity identification. So, as a part of our curriculum, as I said, courses might be there, but then as a holistic way, how do you emphasize on developing these different type of skills that we are discussing in the today's lecture? Creative problem solving, cultivating the ability to think outside the box, challenge assumptions, and devise novel solutions to complex business challenges. A competitive market is there. We know how many toothpaste are there in the market. Okay. So how is that? How is that my student critically solve this problem? So ability to think outside the box is very important. Calculated risk taking, develop the courage to embrace uncertainty, experiment with new ideas, and take calculated risks that can lead to the transformative opportunities. And that's why to develop these, I have seen very good practices in some of the universities and institute. They have their own shop, which is run by the business. In some university, they contact the some manufacturer, ask them to have their shop on their campus, which will be managed by the student, so that they will go for a understanding what new ideas can be done, how we can really take a calculated risk, and so into that. And of course, as a part of that, we require to hone the skill to recognize untapped market needs, anticipate industry trends, and uncover explored avenues for business growth and diversification. It's very important. My focus will be more on this particular slide because, as I told you, we require more and more entrepreneurs. We require more enterprises. We require, and that's why government of India has launched a scheme for entrepreneurship development, like incubation, startup, and through that only we have a lot of hackathons. Those hackathons can also develop this type of the abilities, and we have to work into that. See, my dear professor, I need not tell you, you are well learned, you are doing a very noble job, but we have to make some and think out of the box. A teaching should become just like a three uh, 3 years students are on campus, as if you are looking or viewing some picture of 3 hours or a drama for 3 hours, and student are performing, which gives some message to that. And in that context, we need to. I know that you must be having very good contact, good collaboration with the industries and business. Nowadays, we also emphasize on digital literacy. Okay. As I told you in the very beginning, all businesses, banking, insurance, retail marketing, everything is a now digital and digital. So mastering the latest productivity software like cloud-based collaboration tools, AI-powered written assistant, and so that they can streamline the workflows and boost efficiency. So first, very important is productivity softwares. AI is there, cloud-based collaborations are there. So these we must be used to, we must develop them as a part of curriculum. Developing fluency in data visualization techniques using interactive dashboards and infographics to convey complex information in a clear and compelling manner. So they need to have a data visual. We talk about loss and profit. I'm taking a simple example. Or supply and sales, or cost and profit. Whenever we talk about that, or even market analysis, what is it? They must be able to visualize the data, infographics. Then gaining expertise in digital marketing strategies, including search engine optimization, social media management, and content creation to effectively reach and engage customers. All students of commerce and business management, not only those who are doing digital marketing, but every one of us, this digital marketing is very important. Not only if you are doing BBA or BCom with digital marketing as a specialization, but for all students across the BCom and BBA and MCom and MBA, we should emphasize on developing these particular skills because that is the talk of the day. That is the tool. Even you must have experienced, I have experienced two things. One, while traveling, I had been to one of the hotel for breakfast. Car was parked. There was one security who was managing this parking. We had breakfast. We come out. Obviously, he asked for some tip. And nowadays, because of digital money, we don't have change. But he's so smart. I said, sir, I don't have change. No, sir, I have my barcode, my QR code. Can you? So even 10 rupees, 20 rupees. Forget about security staff. These parking people, beggars are having nowadays this QR code where you can pay. Means for us, obviously, we need to have. So this digital literacy is very important. Now in the business, as I told you, same as liberal art, ethical decision making. But in the context of business, navigating complex business scenario. So when you work in the dynamic world of business, we must grapple with ethical dilemmas and test the boundaries of the right and wrong. So our education must focus on moral reasoning skills so that they can intricate the situation. They will be able to vet the situation and take the consequent decision. It may be related to the stakeholders, environment, and society as well. So you have to have developed through the case studies or through the interactive workshops, these sort of the things where student can learn, identify the ethical blind spots, consider multiple perspectives, and make principled decisions that afford organizational values and integrity. So, mastering these critical competencies empowers future business leaders to act as a responsible stewards, driving the sustainable growth and while maintaining the public's trust. Very important. Because in the business, sustenance, any business activity for that matter, you know that public trust is very important. And when you can gain the public trust, provided you have a ethical decision making practices. And in this complex scenario, we need to develop these skills among the students. Then global mindset. We know, though United States of America has increased the rate of tariff, but we are opening new avenues for our market. And when we go to a different avenue, cross-cultural awareness and international business practices are must. Either you go and join some business out of the country, or you start your own business out of the country. Third example, you are working in some international organization in India. So today's interconnected world, successful business leader must cultivate a global mindset. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And this is not new to us. This was taught in during Takshada, Nalanda University about these. People used to come here. So appreciating the diverse culture, customs, communication styles, we need to really make the student to understand. And when especially they work in these areas in the global mindset, because they empower the future managers to identify new opportunities, build trust with international partners, and diverse sustainable growth across the board. Again, I am giving you an example which today morning I have given. This cross-cultural respect. See, ethics and culture go hand in hand. You will agree with me. If you have an ethics, moral with you, obviously the working in a cross-cultural environment is very important. And that is how we need to develop and give the students exposure into that, because there's a huge scope to work in the global market as an employee or as a self-employment. Lifelong learning, which also remain very important in this world, which talks about the adaptability and continuous professional development. GST has come, so your tax structure has changed now. GST has changed the rate. You also have to understand. So this continuous professional development. So successful business leader cultivate a mindset of adaptability, readily embracing new technology and evolving industry trends and shifting market trends. Okay. And that's why they require continuous upskilling. It may be through formal training or through the conferences or on the job experiences. You have to maintain into that. And for that, as I was discussing, we should have a growth mindset. We should ourselves. And that is very important. That is very important that when you are educating your student, when you are teaching your student in your institute, in your course, you have to develop a growth mindset, because they should not feel discouraged, inferior, and they must be confident, and they should have a growth mindset, so that they can very positively take the challenges and they make it as an opportunity. And that's why this sort of the perspective can be developed, understanding, and that's why you'll find huge opportunities are there for the business and industry and employment in our country. And for that, diverse perspectives are to be developed. I know one session like this is not sufficient, but when you go back to your institute, or even whenever you get an opportunity, please see that. I don't mean that it is not the part of the curriculum. It may be, everything may not be, but something may be a part of the curriculum. But see that how the pedagogy can be changed, how we can really address, so that student in real sense will be able to success in their life. Now, when we talk about the teaching strategies for the business management and commerce, For analytical and decision-making skill, equip student with the ability to gather and analyze data, identify trends, make informed strategic decision to solve complex business problem. Give them business today, give them economics times, ask them to do that, take different industry reports, company reports, ask them to analyze, and ask them to take decision what he will do in this given situation. So you can equip student with ability to gather and analyze the data, identify the trends, make informed strategic decision. Teamwork and collaboration can be taught by giving student opportunity to work on the diverse team. Delegate the responsibility, communicate effectively, and leverage collective strength to achieve shared goals. So you create an opportunity for, since in the business and management, teamwork is prime important as in the rest of the domain. Give them some task, give them some project. Though it is an academic project, ask them to manage. Ask them to manage gathering. Ask them to manage sports and entrepreneurial mindset. So we can develop them to think like an enterprise. As an entrepreneur, recognize the market opportunities, take calculated risks, and develop innovative solutions to address evolving industry needs. So that's why nowadays we have lot of startup fest are happening, lot of hackathons are happening. Likewise, you can conduct business hackathon where student can come out with some problems, set and present a different innovative idea which is for the business. So here more we have to go with a teaching strategy of project based group discussion, problem solving, hackathon, some sort of competition which will help them to work us. For analytical and decision making skills, equip student with ability which already I mentioned to you, analyze and interpret complex data. For critical evaluation, make student to objectively assess risk. So give them a solution, give them a problem. And this is how we have to work into that. Teamwork, as I told you, we can have given a ideas, you can have a group discussions, you can have a share accountability, which will can do. So lot of group activity, teamwork can be developed through group work, through project, outreach project, problem-based hackathon, business hackathon as such, and giving them a case studies and then carry out the decision making onto that. That will help into that. So when we talk about the areas of these aspects, we can emphasize on how we can develop the skills in the part of the commerce and business management. So dear professors, again I request all my teachers to also view to this next presentation on skills in science education, because as I told you earlier, they are actually nowadays we talk about multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary. So might be this skill is important for you to know and understand. But then on all these strategies are very important. Fundamental science skills. I'm not going to tell you new things. I'm telling what is the gap, what is the demand of the industry, and which we need to emphasize. Proficient lab techniques and experimental method for data collection. mastery of scientific instrumentation and equipment operation, keen observation skills, and the ability to interpret empirical evidences. So, in science, keep in mind that through the 4 year of program, 3 to 4 year of program or a master's program, we have to emphasize that these fundamental skills are very important. And for that, you can conduct as many number of practicals across the duration of the program so that students are able to follow very proficiently the laboratory techniques, the experimental methods, okay, which the science faculty you will agree with me, our focus must be on to that. Many times, please excuse me, we focus on the teaching, but we need to focus on learning, doing. And like here, the how you operate the instrument. Very sorry to say, I'm also a science student, and I'm again sorry to say, but I used to do the experiment just by trial and error. Okay. So there, that is not important. Here, very important. Of course, later on, I have changed my attitude, my style. Doesn't mean it remain, but that is very important. Scientific instrumentation is important, and very importantly, observation skills. Okay. When you go to the industry, when you go to the it may be a pharmaceutical industry, it may be a manufacturing industry, it may be any. Nowadays, there are so many, like we have a space industry now. So different industry you will feel able to, you should have an observation skills. And for that, we require the using the operation, the machinery and equipment. So these fundamental skills are remaining. Critical thinking and problem solving. Science is cause and effect relationship. So the analytical reasoning skill to identify the core issues and develop innovative solution. It may be a problem related to the material development. It may be a problem related to the chemical manufacturing or pharmaceutical manufacturing, or it may be a some area or ability related to the development of instrumentation. So analytical reasoning is must to identify the core issue. Then cultivate creative problem solving technique, leveraging divergent and convergent thinking, both thinking. So creative problem solving is very important, and techniques they need to develop. So how we can do, what will happen if you do in this way, and making some experimentation in real sense. And that's why nowadays we have a 4 year of all in humanities, in commerce and science, so that they can do some research. The final year 4 year program is to focus on creativity and problem solving. Then learn to evaluate evidence objectively, challenge the assumptions, and draw logical conclusions. Why it has happened? So this critical thinking and problem solving skills are required at every stage when student graduates from the institute, work in the industry. And there are huge opportunities since our students, not all students, majority of the students lacking this skill, we have to give emphasize through teaching and curriculum. Experimental design and methodology. for every one of us, formulate hypothesis. This skill must be there. Select appropriate method, implement rigorous protocols. In science education, I don't mean that not required in commerce and humanities, but when it's come to the experimental design is very important in science education. And that's why these skills of formulating the hypothesis, selecting appropriate method, and implementing the protocols very rigorously is very important so that we can ensure the consistency, minimize the biases, and maximize the reliability and validity of your findings. Whatever you are doing, whatever activity you're performing as such, it may be a simple of a testing, but all these things must be done into your case. Another very important skills which is required is a scientific communication and presentation. Our science graduates and postgraduates do lot of research, lot of activity, lot of reading. They require a very effective communication of scientific finding in which is crucial for advancing knowledge and impacting the real world application. And that's why student will have to master techniques to convey complex idea through dynamic, visually engaging presentation that captivate diverse audience. So my students of the science, since they work more on the research, more on scientific methods, more on scientific problem solving, is equally important is to convince and to present ideas. The scientific writing and scientific communication and presentation, these skills are very important because even I have seen, I'm conducting every day some interviews for the faculty member, and when I ask them about these all things, I observe that majority of them are not able to answer appropriate. Next skill is ethical consideration in science. As I said, you will find this common in every program, I mean every faculty, but the context is different, the impact is different when you move from the discipline to discipline. Integrity, uphold the highest standard of honesty and transparency in all scientific endeavors, from data collection to reporting findings, because science is so important to any nation, any industry, any researcher. And that's why we need to develop a integrity sense among the students. Objectivity, approach research with an unbiased mindset, setting aside personal biases or agenda to ensure the validity and reliability of results. This is very important because you are doing something else. I know every graduate is important for me and you, but when we talk about the solving any problem through a research methods, we'll have to maintain, I mean, objectivity is very important. Social responsibility. So when the scientists work or science graduate work, you have to consider in a broader societal and environmental impact on the scientific discoveries and strive to use knowledge for greater good. It's very important. Because we will develop, but is it going to impact, are going to have an adverse impact onto the society? So that is where, in add-on ethical consideration, this skill need to be developed. And obviously, every one of you must be having a ethical cell in your institute informed consent. Obtain voluntary and informed consent from research participants, respecting their autonomy and protecting their well-being. So this is very important. That's why we have a ethics committee. We have ethics committee in our university, in your research centers and institution. It's only because we want to develop this informed consent ability among the students, and these skills are very important to that. Now, as in the case of liberal arts and commerce and business management, here even we have an interdisciplinary collaborations are important, and these skills to be developed among the students. Not, I say, science students working in his own area. No, you have to see how the diverse expertise is required, how innovatively we can solve a problem, how the synergic teamwork is possible, and how the impactful discoveries can be done. So, our specialized knowledge can be given to the from the multiple angles. Multiple angles. Now, recent example, AI, artificial intelligence, in sugarcane watering. So, this is a science application in diverse field. So, diverse expertise. Even supply chain management, use of AI, just giving one example. So, diverse expertise is important. If I'm developing some fertilizer, I'm a chemistry graduate or a postgraduate, I must think about, I must think about my how this can be developed as a molecule. How? Which can be if you're working in a research area, or you know how to handle what protocols are to be followed. Then innovative problem solving. So engage in dynamic discussion, share insight, and pool resources to generate innovative solution. Synergic teamwork. I'm going to give you one example after this slide. Foster a collaborative environment where open communication, very important word, mutual respect, and shared passion for discovery drive the research process. This skill need to be developed. We need to have a competition. We need to have that culture in the institution. And the interdisciplinary collaborative leads to groundbreaking scientific discoveries that can have far-reaching implication and tangible societal benefits. So we when we are teaching, you have to keep in the mind this is the skill requirement, this is the expectation from the industry. Okay, so I know many of you are doing so, but then can we do at little, if you have to talk on Bloom's taxonomy on application and above level, we have to think in direction. And coming back to one example which I'm wanted to share with you on interdisciplinary collaboration. Here right now I'm talking to you, I'm delivering a lecture from JSPM University Pune in the state of Maharashtra. JSPM University has undertaken a project of launching a satellite, and on this particular project a team is working, and team is from different discipline. And frankly telling you, the whatever mentioned on this slide, a synergic teamwork is there, and we are coming with a not only problem solving, committing innovative problem solving, where we are taking the help of the diverse expertise available in the university and from the outside the university, so that we can have impactful discoveries. And I have seen experience. I'm giving you this the latest example. I have many more experiences, but then when my students have got these abilities, he can contribute and make impactful listen to that. Lifelong learning and adaptability, as it is equally required, my dear professor, we have to go for a continuous skill development. Because we know new equipment, new experimentations, new methodology, new techniques, new tools, new technologies are there. So continuous skill development are very important. And we must have to adapt to the change. Because when we go in a new context, suppose as a chemistry graduate, you are working in a today pharmacy industry. Tomorrow you'll go to the fertilizer industry. Then you'll go to the sugar industry. Just give me 1 second. 1 second. Hello? Yeah. Yeah. Huh? Are you there upstairs? I'll come in some minute. Huh? Once I done, I'm just in one meeting. I'll finish up that. Huh? Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, dear professor. There was some urgent call. So we have to, I need not tell you because, and then in this aspect of that, so, and they must have a intellectual curiosity. अरे हमने कुछ करके बताया. Okay, and that curiosity has to be there, and that nurture a genuine passion for discovery, and that our science graduate, we need to work on to that, and these are the skills which we want to develop into that. So when we talk of teaching strategies in science education, broadly, what methodology that we are going to use, what teaching pedagogy we have to use. Number one, engaging students in hands-on experiment and research project. I've seen in many universities, their PhD student, MSc student, they work with the research projects. Okay. So similar activity we should continue in the colleges also, because university, lot of projects are there. Institute also there are projects. Otherwise, we should take some projects and work into that. To foster curiosity-driven approach, we must ask student questions, ask to work on hypotheses, design investigation. I'm going to talk to you about this particular area in the subsequent slide. But this thought process must be driven into the students, and of course we should have a aspect of doing a projects, problem solving, real world problem solving, multidisciplinary perspective. If you solve the or follow the project-based approach, you can interdisciplinary connection can be well developed into that. So hands-on experimentation, then using technology, softwares. There are a lot of software, MATLAB and all, many of you are using. There are so many statistical techniques, statistical softwares are there. We must be able to use and develop and cultivate analytical mindset. So using scientific data, using softwares, interpreting, for that giving them some case studies, that all you can use into that. Now, coming to the another area is about the interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary skills. I have already discussed this aspect, but when we talk of the interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary skills, keep in mind, my dear professor, you will agree with me that every graduate has to work not only in the same domain, in different domain. And that's why National Education Policy 2020 has come out with the interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary approach. And in this context, we talk on this particular skill. I will not go into the details of this. But here, what we really require to do is to, why it is important, equip students with a broader more adaptable skill set to tackle complex and real world problems. We need to develop this multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary mind, foster critical thinking, innovation, and the ability to approach challenges from multiple perspectives, and prepare graduates from evolving job market that values cross-functional collaboration and interdisciplinary expertise. So, as I said you in the beginning, the student of psychology has got job opportunities in industry. So, within the domain, interdisciplinary. Student of science has got the opportunities in interdisciplines in agriculture, in pharmaceutical sciences. So the importance is to have a broader, more adaptable skill set, and that we need to develop among. Here we require critical thinking. I will not elaborate more onto that because already we discussed this. So critical thinking and problem solving abilities are must when students go into that. And while doing so, when we have a interdisciplinary project, can you take interdisciplinary projects? Can you put your industrial visit, business visit, cross-disciplinary, disciplinary and cross-disciplinary, which will help students because in the today's world, we know the scope is increasing and this approach is very important. Effective communication and collaboration. When we are working in an interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary environment, that time we need to articulate complex idea clearly, listen actively, and work effectively. We are very comfortable many times in our own domain. But when we go in a multidisciplinary domain or interdisciplinary domain, we require to have I listen to the problems, listen actively, and work into the areas where we have to solve the problem. So that develops a bridge of disciplinary device, synthesize the knowledge, and arrive at collective solution through open dialogue and mutual understanding. And that's why we all have to focus on effective communication and collaboration. Adaptability and flexibility. Again, this is in the context of multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary approach. Embracing change. Because when there's a change, you're applying your knowledge in another domain, you have to get them adapt with the circumstances, have to embrace new challenges. And that's why we have to develop the ability into that. Similarly, collaborative versatility. Teams are changing, domains are changing. So their communication style, their approaches to effect working collaboratively, all that we need to understand, and we have to be very resilience and resourcefulness in this particular area. Of course, this required, my dear professors, as we discussed before moral framework. In a interdisciplinary, as I said you, because the domains are changing, but we are working to solve a common problem, a complex problem, moral framework, social responsibility, professional integrity, and nuance judgment is very important, which we need to talk about the student into that. And this is to be talked about. That's why we talk under NEP 2020 holistic development, multidisciplinary. Because synthesizing the insight from multiple fields gives you a holistic perspective. Even interdisciplinary framework, we need to understand they will give more job opportunities, more business opportunities, and it is applicable to the all domains. Okay, and have to have a different database that we have to want to that. For that aspect, of course, we have to take, skipping this. This is very importantly because since there is going to be or already it is there, and not today, in the past. But now we have seen that this interdisciplinary and cross-disciplinary education is important. So cross-functional expertise, lifelong learning mindset, innovative problem solving, interdisciplinary collaboration, these skills we have to work in the today's concept. Coming to the next set of skills is about the digital skills in higher education. Digital skills in the higher education. So in that case, we have to see, of course, this is not new to all of you, but we have to understand the value of that. Now, what is I'm trying to tell you all this? Digital skills for liberal art faculties, proficient digital research and information literacy skills to effectively navigate online resources and databases. Fluency in digital writing and multimedia storytelling to communicate ideas through various digital mediums, and competence in data analysis and visualization tools to interpret and present qualitative and quantitative information. So, for humanities, for liberal art faculties, these digital skills in the current time are very important, and that you should develop through your curricular, co-curricular, and extracurricular activity. The digital skills for business management and commerce, proficiency in financial modeling and data analytics software to inform strategic business decision. Lot of such platforms are available which you can utilize. Many of you must be implementing that. Expertise in digital marketing technique like social media management, search engine optimization, though it is the area of computer, but it is a compo computer economics, computer commerce, compocom, whatever you call it. Fluency in project management and collaboration. Lot of tools are there of project management. So we must, as a students of business management, the digital skills in these areas are very important in today's world that we should develop into that. For science graduate, obviously science computing and data visualization is very required for the complex data sets. And nowadays, as I told you, like MATLAB, there are so many softwares which you can utilize. Expertise in lab equipment automation. Because of mechatronics and robotics, lot of equipment automation has happened, and there's a remote experimentation techniques are there to enhance productivity and collaboration. So our student must have the knowledge and skills into this particular area. Fluency in scientific and digital publishing platforms for effectively disseminate research and innovation. I need not tell you, you must be knowing so many. LaTeX is one, but there are so many platforms to which we can use for the publication purpose as such. So these digital skills are required for the students. Apart from that, we also require a very essentially is for the collaborative communication. So a collaboration and communication tools which are there nowadays, though we talk them on the project, online tools are available, different ERPs are available, that everyone we need to want into that. Then digital content creation and curation. Every of us, humanities, science, and commerce, content creation, content curation, digital portfolio, and content distribution. All these we need to properly develop these abilities among the student into that. Nevertheless, nowadays we talked about cybersecurity and privacy awareness. So this is every day you'll find in the newspaper, on television, on the news channel, what type of cybersecurity is happening. So when you have to work onto that, following online safety practices, data privacy and protection. This is irrespective of whether my graduate is from humanities, liberal art, commerce, and business management, or science and technology. Responsible digital citizenship and coming out the emerging threats which are coming like cyber, social engineering, and IoT vulnerables are there. So we have to work on to that. So cyber security, and you must be knowing recently, University Grant Commission has provided the guidelines on the cyber security to educate all student, faculty, staff, community about the cyber security, which you are supposed to conduct some program and educate all of them into that. This, of course, you have to go on to that because now there's a AI into that. There are two skills which I'll be discussing before I closing the session, and then we will have some question answer. Now, design thinking is one of the area majority of you must be knowing, and this is across the discipline. Not only because if the word design is there, we find that design is only for science and technology. No, even for my liberal arts, humanities, this is design thinking is taking you towards the entrepreneurship. Okay. You gradually develop the ability, critical thinking, problem solving, decision making, and then you go on developing innovations, interdisciplinary solutions. Then you go to the startup and you become an entrepreneur. This is the aspect into that we need to work. So design thinking is user centric, interactive process for solving complex problems. It involves emphasizing with user, defining challenges, identifying solution, making prototype and testing. And as I said you, this approach encourages creativity, collaboration, and a willingness to experiment and learn from failure, which is required for the all the graduates. And that's why in many university, one course is given under any, it may be ability enhancement or anywhere, wherever you find the space, appropriate space, I mean, defining the design thinking. If I have to talk of design thinking in liberal arts, what could be the different approaches? Foster interdisciplinary thinking and problem solving across diverse fields. Cultivate creativity, innovation, and adaptability essential for 21st century careers. Encourage students to emphasize with the end users and consider multiple perspectives. Integrate hands-on experiential learning through prototyping and iteration, and develop critical thinking, communication, and collaboration. By this way, designing thinking can be developed, which is essential in the present world of work. For business management, you can go with a integrating this with the curriculum of business program to develop the entrepreneurship spirit, collaborative abilities, and even to have a high value which is required for the modern employees. So we can have a innovative problem solving approaches, a customer centric mindset which you can develop through this particular design uh, thinking for the business management student. For the science graduate also, you can have a empower them with a tackle the complex interdisciplinary challenges. Nowadays we talk about, of course, I may be taking a good number of example from chemistry, but it's because it's a easily available into day-to-day life. But even physics, imaging technique, you know how the imaging technique has developed into that. So all that we have to develop into the areas where we are working into that. And the strategies for developing the design thinking skill is experiential learning, interdisciplinary collaboration, exposure to design experts, and design thinking workshops. You can contact where the student will be guided through the design thinking process for empathy, from empathy to prototyping. So ideas can be generated, hackathons can be conducted into this particular area. So you can have, now you may ask how to incorporate design thinking into the curriculum. Either you can have an interdisciplinary course, or you can have a design studios you can develop. Your student can engage in hands-on collaborative work, or you can have a design challenges. You can conduct some competitions onto that, or you can put design thinking as one of the multidisciplinary elective to the curriculum into your student. So, as a nutshell, the fostering a design-centric mindset will help us to creative confidence, cultivating curiosity, empathetic mindset, and interactive mindset. So we need to teach students to embrace failure as a natural part of the design process and encourage them to rapidly prototype, iterate on their ideas. So all that we can possible when we go for this aspect. And obviously, it required collaborative learning. Dear professors, this is one of the skills which is nowadays making us to think a lot. People say that very soon AI will replace teacher. But no, I am of the opinion, no. The reason is that AI does what prompt you are giving. So prompt is to be given by the teacher or whosoever is the source. But then when they work across the discipline, this is all we have to develop. We cannot ignore that. We cannot ignore that AI skills are not required. AI skills are required. So when we talk of AI skill, nowadays everyone is conversant with that. But to begin with, very importantly, the fundamental AI concepts and principles are very important. When we talk of AI, there are three aspects: machine learning, neural network, and natural language processing. The machine learning, what actually AI does, he learns the machine, understand the core principle of supervised, unsupervised, and reinforced learning and their applications. So, for example, if you have to take about the machine learning, we have to understand that how any one machine will work, or how one process will work, or how certain calculations will be done. So that is done by the machine learning. And that is a neural network, gain knowledge of deep learning architecture and their ability to solve the complex problem. As our mind does, we go deep and deep, critical thinking, and how we arrive at to the analysis and decision making, same is the done by the artificial intelligence. You give them the problem, you give them the prompt, they apply the principle of neural network to analyze and problem solving and giving the requisite output, which is them. And of course, the we have to have a comprehend the technique used to analyze, understand, and generate human languages. This use the human language. Okay, natural language processing, because it doesn't follow any code as such, but there are certain prompts which we give. The language which we give, you give in sometime Marathi, you can give in any regional language, it will process. So that knowledge our graduate must have. AI is not limited to Chat GPT, Gemini, but nowadays the AI has become a part of different softwares, and it may be banking. You take a simple working on the Excel sheet, their AI is there, everywhere AI is there. So this AI is going to be used, but this AI we have to emphasize when students are working into that. So machine learning techniques and application must be known to the student, regression and classification. So develop proficiency in building predictive models for numerical and categorical data that we need to develop into them. Then how you clustering and dimensionality reduction that we need to develop. So how to discover patterns and insight, and accordingly giving them the recommendations to learn to build personalized recommendation engines for various industries. Here I am talking to you about. So what type of the machine is required for that? That we learn the entire regression into that. We do the analysis, we the categorical data, we cluster them, and we recommend what type of system is required to them. In the natural language processing, whatever tokenization, stemming, all this is done is to have a sentiment analysis and question answering. So this classification of the sentiment of the text data, such as customer reviews or social media posts, or sometimes develop system that can understand, respond to the natural language processing. This must be known to our student. How does it really work into that? And that is obviously required computer vision and image analysis. So we have to classify images. Semantic segmentation has to be done. Object detection has to be done, and then image generation is there. How the computer vision is happening, this must be known to the student. Recently I have seen one more AI tool has been developed. You give only the word rose and ask him to create a picture, it will create a picture of different roses. Mean to say that how from image classification to image generation, what semantic segmentation is happening here, we have to give a knowledge and input to the student. Obviously, when we talk of all this, we in some cases, when we talk of that, we require the understand our student robotics and automation, sensors, control system, motion planning, computer vision, because you are visualizing that, you are doing that. Those satellite is getting the images, but how these images are getting, that they need to understand, though he or she is an agriculture student, not a science student, or whatever data images is getting to a student of economics, they must be able to understand how it is done. And for that also we have to have a data analytics tools which can be formed very simple. Nowadays we talk about the ethical consideration here. It's very important. So the ethical consideration must be taught to the student. Bias and fairness. Ensure that whatever AI system you develop, do not perpetuate societal bias and discrimination unfairly. They protect individual privacy and data security. There's a AI with clear decision making process and have to consider broader social impact. This we need to understand, make students to develop the ethical consideration because they might be developed, maybe directly, indirectly, developing the AI tools for different application across the discipline, but they please teach them about development of the skills. Last set of skills which I'm talking to you, which are life skills in higher education. When we talk of holistic development, therein we use variety of words, soft skills, core skills, life skills. But then in all toto, these are for their career and life, not only for seeking the employment, but for the their throughout career, throughout life as a citizen, as a son and daughter, as a brother and sister, as a father and a mother, and as a leader in different organization and colleague. So here we have observed, since I'm very closely working with good number of business and industry, I have seen that the students are lacking on the life skills which we need to develop in greater sense. Few things which I talk to you is maybe a repetitive part is a critical thinking and problem solving. Okay. These are the life skills in your personal life, social life, professional life. Since we have discussed into this in detail, I may not go into the detail because you'll understand what I mean to say that we have to cultivate the ability to analyze the information from multiple perspectives and identifying the underlying assumptions and biases and find the creative problem solving skills. These life skills are important. I mentioned to you about communication and interpersonal skills, very important. Like from child to a senior citizen, we'll have to mention that develop a active listening skills, cultivate clear and concise verbal communication, enhance non-verbal communication abilities, using body language. These skills we need to develop among the students whenever they are working. Another aspect is on the emotional intelligence and self-awareness. I know, as I told you in the very beginning, I know you are teaching in the different demography. Some of you are in tribal, some are in rural, urban, metros. And we know students coming with different background, social, economic, and even their extent of exposure. So we need to develop actually, how do you motivate and inspire students? We have to develop self-awareness to understand own emotion, strengths and weaknesses. This should be the prime duty of we all so that we can prepare students for their career and life. Cultivate empathy to recognize and appreciate the feelings and perspective of others, respecting others, understanding their feelings, and enhance emotional regulation skills to manage impulses and respond to challenges with resilience. Very patiently, we have to act in our life. That need to be taught. We know how today students get quickly frustrated, discouraged. It's only because of emotional intelligence, level of emotional intelligence, and we need to make them to work on to that. Adaptability and resilience, which already we discussed about, growth mindset, adaptability. You have to tell them that you, always you will not get comfortable place to work. Sometimes there will be very conflictive situation, diverse situation, challenging situation. We must be able to work into that and to have a patience, resilience by practicing self-care, seeking support. All that we need to change. Talk about time management and organization, where no no much improvement is seen. I know when I'm talking always about time management and organization of the time, I remember of life basic principle. One of the life basic principle is that you have God has given you a birth. We have to assess by Gautam Buddha. You are here on this planet for certain purposes. So fulfill that purpose and enjoy the life. Enjoy life. When I'm using enjoy life, I know that it's very difficult to, because everyone has a different situations. But then making student to understand that is very important, so that time management, hobby, study, skills. So developing strategic time management skill to prioritize tasks, minimize distraction, and meet deadline effectively. It may be at home or at workplace or for your career. Cultivation organizational habits such as maintaining structured calendar, using to-do list, and decluttering the workplaces, and using different productivity tools. So we have to develop these from beginning among the student. Financial literacy and budgeting. Student must know how the personal finance, what are the principles of that. And that's why many universities have started offering basic financial literacy as one of the course. What are the different money management tools? How to prepare monthly budget, all different types of budgets. These skills need to be there. Then leadership. Leadership, again, wherever I'm talking about at home and at workplace. When I'm saying home, I don't mean in home. Home means including home in social scenario, in social environment, and in professional environment. So having leadership skills to inspire, to motivate, to guide, to have shared goals, to practice collaborative problem solving, enhance conflict resolution abilities, to navigate interpersonal challenges. All these we need to work on to, my dear professor. And we can have a variety of strategies through this. We can have a multidisciplinary courses. You can have experiential learning. You can have a collaborative learning environment. You can have a sort of a self-reflection exercise where personal growth can be focused, and even you can have a expert lecture which you must be doing on this aspect into that. So there are, of course, strategies for every set of skills that we want to develop. Obviously, when we talk of all this, a question comes, how do we integrate? So here there are few clues. Integrating skill-based learning into curriculum. Number one, experiential learning. Incorporating real-world projects, internship, and field experiences into academic programs across all disciplines. Interdisciplinary approach, fostering cross collaboration between different fields of study to cultivate diverse skills. And obviously, for this, we require separate faculty development so that we can equip educators with the tools and resources to effectively teach practical skills. I don't mean that you don't have, but many of them we required. How do you really conduct this type of the practical teaching so that we can integrate into the curriculum? The future of higher education is prioritizing the skill development. My dear professors, we talked even in the very beginning. To remain relevant and prepare students for the future, higher education must prioritize the development of practical in demand skills alongside traditional academic curriculum. So, employees' demand is to increase focus on application skills. Then, evolving job market, rise of artificial intelligence, automation, and new technology, which are transforming industries and business, and student expectation, desire for education that directly translate to career success. This is a long pending demand, very difficult, I know, from the academic point of view, but we have to make our most attempt to take the student to that particular aspect. These are all the references which I provided to you in this particular session. I have used NEP 2020 document of Ministry of Education, Government of India, India Labour Report 2024, then Higher Education, Necessity and Benefits of Skill Development by Rajkumar Singh, Skill Development Needed to Positions in Higher Education by Daphne Heffin, Developing Employability Skills in Higher Education and at Work by JW, The Future of Higher Education Skills for the World of Tomorrow, UNESCO ISLAC 2020, UNESCO SDG 4, and this PPT input I have given, but PPT is prepared by using the artificial intelligence techniques, which many of you must have recognized that. I have given input to them, the prompt were given to them, the material was given to them, and I have designed this curriculum and presentation. This is not a part of marketing. I'm the author for the book, Outcome-Based Education, Theory and Practice, especially written for higher education. So, dear professors, this is all whatever I wanted to say to you on this today's session. If you have any questions, I think I will open the chat box. I may find some questions into that. Acha, this all is about attendance. Okay, okay.
Yes, participant, any question, you can unmute himself. I will permit to unmute it.
Yes, I think No questions. Yeah.
No question, sir.
No issue. No issue. No questions. I understand. I understand because this is all is majority things are known to you. But once again, I appeal all of you, though because of the time constraint, everything cannot be taught to you in this time. But obviously, this appeal to all of you to uh, go and revise this whatever we discussed in today's session. I have especially designed the particular this presentation, keeping in point the faculty, my teaching faculty from different disciplines. This is the beginning, but as I said and I have shown to you on the slide, we require to develop a skills and follow the innovative strategies of developing students' knowledge base. And this is one of the requirement for the NEP 202. If no question, please allow me to leave this platform. May I leave now?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, to sparing the valuable time you have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yes. Yes, I will now declare to over this session. Okay. Participant, you can leave this meeting.